I think that everybody got a wonderful feeling for what he was just going through. I mean, I think everybody felt what you were going to go through. And without a doubt, that's absolutely incredible. And Robbie's a very good friend of mine, Robbie Knevel. And Robbie wanted to be here, and he said to wish all of you the best and thank you for a wonderful event. And he said to say especially thanks for you for doing a great job for his old man. And I've been with Robbie on quite a few jumps, and I've seen a few of them not go exactly the way they were supposed to. When you see a body flipping through the air like that, it's absolutely terrifying. You know, I mean, you want to go over and make sure that everybody's okay. And Robbie just did a jump about 2 weeks ago in Texas Stadium, and he did one in Kings Island not too long ago, which was really terrific. And this weekend he's going to do one in St. Louis. So say a little prayer, and the Lord's making up water out there, so it's nice and green. But I'd like to say thanks for having us all here. I'm having a great time. And if anybody would like to ask me a question at all about anything that we've done in the movie business, please feel free to do that.
Let's move to questions, but start with Dan. Anybody got a question for? I mean, I want to personally know about when you fell in love with bikes. So let's start with people.
Yeah. Can you tell us about the Captain America bike?
Well, that was a real thrill for me. I did a couple movies, and Dennis Hopper and we did King of the Mountain together, and we did a movie called Glory Stompers. And they were doing a film called Easy Rider. And Dennis and Peter and I were pretty good friends, and they said, look, why don't you come work on this movie with us, take care of the bikes and do some things like that. And a very good friend of mine by the name of Tex Hall was a stunt guy on the show. And there was some wonderful people that worked on these bikes, and we were doing Easy Rider. And a lot of people want to know about the movie and about what happened to the bikes. And there were 4 bikes built for the film. There were 2 for Dennis and 2 for Peter. And at the end of the movie, Tex Hall, the gentleman that did the stunts for Easy Rider, had 3 of the bikes at his house. And he lived in Reseda, on the corner of Victory and Reseda Boulevard. And he was married to the heiress of John Deere Tractor. His little wife was a lovely little lady. And a bike club, now this is before the movie was ever released. These bikes were famous just from being around town. I mean, it was incredible. And a bike club came to his house and stole his bike and the 3 Easy Rider bikes. The only bike that survived was the double bike that Tex did the stunt with at the end of the movie. And they loosened the dampener and they put a little charge in it. And Tex rode it up a ramp and then jumped off of it. And the bike went off the end of a 10-foot ramp. And as the nut came off the dampener, the front end kind of slid off the yoke, and it kind of undulated through that field. And as it undulated, it never fell over. It just kind of softly came to rest and then leaned over. Well, he was robbed by the bike club, and he called me and he said, Dan, I've been robbed. And I said, well, I'll come over and help you. He says, no, I have a friend of mine, Donut Dick, and his family owned Winchell's Donuts, and he was a big old huge guy. Tex thought he knew where the bikes were at, and they went over to this bike club and saw the president of the bike club in the house with the Captain America tank on the dining room table, and they were looking through the window, and they had an X-Acto knife, and they were cutting out the stars on this tank with a hair dryer, blowing the stars, heating them up, and pulling them off the tank and giving them to members in the club. Well, this was absolutely incredible. The movie wasn't even out yet, and so that little Captain America tank made such an impression on the motorcycle world that still to this day, those 3 bikes are still somewhere in America, stashed away, and somebody's got them as a treasure. And that's the way that is. The only bike that survived was the double bike that Dennis and Peter said to me, why don't you just keep that bike? Because I had the double bike at my house and the frame had bent when we did this stunt. And I had it in my garage for some time. I had it for years. And I sold it to the Guggenheim Museum a few years back. But it's been incredible that 2 motorcycles changed American history. I mean, Harley's been around since 1903. But when they got on the highway and rode for freedom and to have a great time, it just changed American history. And I think from that moment on, everybody's been involved with motorcycles as much as everybody had bikes before, but that really kind of kicked it off. Charles Bronson, and you know, here goes Bronson, and then Dennis and Peter with Easy Rider, which has been quite a movie. And it's changed American history to this day. There's never been another bike movie quite like it, and there's never been a bike that made such an impression on the American public or the world, you know. So it was a lot of fun to be involved with the movie. And I remember I was lucky enough to work in the movie, And when we did the little prayer, Bobby Walker was saying the prayer, and I was next to Bobby. My daughter was 4 years old at the time, and as we all said amen at the end of the prayer, you heard this little voice go, amen. And that was my daughter. She was 4, now she's 43. So where's the time gone? It's absolutely incredible. But one of the funny things is, when we were doing the communion sequence, Dennis comes to me and he says, hey man, we don't have any seeds to throw out here in the field to show that we're planting corn. I says, well man, just put dirt in the bags and nobody will know, and we'll just throw dirt on top of the dirt. So when you're looking at that movie, you go, they're just throwing dirt back on top of the dirt. It was a low budget movie. But Henry Fonda came to Columbia one day and he said, how you boys doing on that show? There was 43 hours of footage that they'd shot. Dennis directed it. He'd take pictures of radio knobs and birds and things. And Henry Fonda came and helped him cut that to 14 hours. And if it wasn't for Henry Fonda, a genius of movie making, I don't think that Easy Rider would have been what it is today. So there's a lot of thanks to a great movie maker, Henry Fonda, to Dennis and to Peter, that made everybody complimentary to what we saw today on film.